it's Todd Ault. It's July 15th. It's loud outside because these kind of NASCAR type cars are passing by me. I'm on the what is probably the 25th floor of the hotel here in Toronto. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but there's the beautiful Toronto skyline. By the way, it is so pretty here at night. I cannot believe it. This is episode 233. This is Risk On. Well, I have been traveling a ton as we acquire companies and do what we do around the globe. As you know, in Now Holdings, the company I'm executive chairman and founder of, owns businesses in 3 countries, and a lot of traveling, man. A little tired of that, but not tired of that. That's actually not true. Jason, are you tired for me?
I'm tired for you. You travel much more than I do, and you had quite the interesting flight. If you want to talk about that, we'll get into that. That was crazy.
Oh, no. There's no question that we are going to talk about what happened to me yesterday on a flight from New York City to Toronto. It will not be believable. What is believable, Jason, is that Skyla's next to you. Skyla, what's going on?
Hello. I made it back also. Pretty late last night. We didn't get home till like 1 or 2. Flight was late, but met some cool people on the plane. Wish I was in Toronto, but
speaking of New York and the Risk On conference that took place in Las Vegas, on July 20th, we're going to be featuring the presentation that I did an interview with Anthony Scaramucci at the Risk On conference. If you didn't get a chance to watch this interview or be at the conference, you didn't see it live. Anthony Scaramucci was just an amazing interview, and I think all the people that were really blown away by what he had to say, his humbleness, his comments about his wife and the market. Jason, your thoughts on Anthony Scaramucci?
Scaramucci came off pretty. I had one vision of him, and he basically blew my mind. He was very reasonable, very smart, obviously, and he took the high road with his relationship with the former president. Yeah, I liked Anthony Scaramucci.
Skyla, you saw him. You got to deal with him. What did you think of Anthony Scaramucci?
well, I didn't really have much prior knowledge on him, which doesn't sound the best, but I liked his speech. I mean, I thought it would have been awesome, obviously, if he was in person, but so I'm looking forward to any possible in-person meetings.
Yeah, Anthony was amazing. I enjoyed every minute of the conversation. Since then, he has reached out to me, and I spent some time with him on social media and talking to him, and it's what a nice guy. And everybody, 6 p.m. East Pacific time on July 20th, you're going to see the release of his interview, which was just great. It'll be on the YouTube channel. Hopefully I got that right. Jason, since we have a limited time, let's go right to the market. I know that there was a big rally today. Jason, you know, I've been at this a long time, and you and I talked about a bottom temporarily in Bitcoin as we approach over 21,000, as there's blood in the streets, and you see Celsius and Voyager going bankrupt, and you see all the calamity of what people do to such a great asset, in my opinion, a great asset that is Bitcoin, purely digital, uncorruptible, and they corrupt it by wrapping it and doing all kinds of weird stuff to it. Jason, your thoughts on what's going on with the market today?
Market was up big today for a Friday. Very interesting. Retail sales came in okay. Let's look. I didn't see the consumer sentiment. Let's take a look real quick to see what that. I don't think that was bullish. Really, 51.1. Actually, it was in range. Consensus was 50. Yeah, consumer sentiment came in a little bit higher. Obviously, it looks like 100 bips Fed rate increase for July. Fed funds rate 1.75. If you add 100 bips onto that, 2.75. The Fed funds rate is the rate that the government loans money to banks. So even though, Todd, it was interesting that the mortgage rates have gone down slightly, even though it looks like we're getting more increases in the Fed funds rate. And also we're having some other is everything okay with the mic? Okay. We're having some issues with the bond market, inverted yield curve, Todd. And, when an inverted yield curve occurs, that could be a flashing red light for a recession. So some mixed signals. Anyhow, the market blew it off, shook it off, and had a big day.
I'm very rusty and not doing a lot of shows with all this traveling. I forgot to mention, hey, Brett, Nick, let's roll the clip on Anthony Scaramucci. Let's roll that clip.
It works in business. It works in your personal relationships as well. But you're asking all the right questions. I think they can rail on Bitcoin or express their displeasure, but ultimately Bitcoin is going to be fairly regulated in the United States for these reasons. Niceness is a superpower. Niceness is a business skill. And so we have to always look at our lives from a position of gratitude and what we have and what we need to be grateful for. And if you think of yourself as lucky, you know what happens? You get more lucky.
Hey, that's Anthony Scaramucci, the mooch, man. It was incredible. Back to the market, Jason. So Bitcoin is right at 21,000 again. What are your thoughts on what I'm talking about with Celsius and some of these other things blowing up? Are you going to create a lot of fear for people missing out who didn't buy it at 17,000, 18,000 like you and I did at 18,000? What are you thinking?
Well, there's a resistance at 22, 22.5. It seems like it's been in this channel for a while now, 19 to 22, 22 and a little bit. A lot of stuff going around as far as these entities that are filing Chapter 11. There's a lot of liquidation occurring. I'm seeing a lot of opportunities potentially for people that are sitting on the sidelines with a big war chest to take advantage of purchasing hardware, albeit ASICs miners, and even possibly acquiring some PPAs that are left in the dust from these entities. So there could be opportunities for entities to get cheap power, possibly, and or possibly some Bitcoin miners at a fraction of the cost.
I think we're going to turn the corner a little bit on inflation. We're going to start to talk a lot about the election as we head towards the cycle here, the election cycle. Jason, let's talk about this. This is July 15th. You go into August. When do you kind of think your full tilt boogie going into the election? Like, when does this sort of pour on? Is it the September time? Partially August? When do you think you sort of see this thing heating up?
I think in August. I guess the kids go back to school in August. I think the economy is going to slow down once the kids go back to school. I think locally in Las Vegas, you're going to see less traffic on a local level. And we're going to see people's buying power continue to be decreased, spread around to other things like energy costs, fuel costs, home mortgages, rentals. Everything's costing more, and I think you're just going to see an overall slowdown in the housing market, and that could lead to more retraction in the economy. And I think that's this quantitative tightening, Todd. They're going to have to take their foot off the pedal, and I think you're going to see them let up a little bit. I think the Fed will, and I think it's going to be for political reasons. I know the Fed's not supposed to be political, but let's be clear. I mean, the last guy politicized it. Obama politicized it. I think there's a lot of pressure here. And another thing, too, is they're pushing this new COVID variant. You're going to either win elections or you're not. I think the political persons who push the masks could be in jeopardy of losing the elections, in my opinion. Locally, this guy, the governor in Nevada, if he pushes for masks, it could give an advantage to the Republican candidate, Sheriff Joe Lombardo. So we'll see.
Jason, what I'm about to tell you is not believable.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to divest from the markets a little bit. We're kind of in the doldrums of summer. To me, I do see Bitcoin picking up. As you guys know, I'm a market theorist. I pay a lot of attention to sentiment, blood in the streets. As you know, Jason, I bought some personal Bitcoin below 20,000. The Celsius news, although it's painful to a lot of people, sort of missed the point of Bitcoin, which is that it's a pure digital asset you can own. And I see that getting some froth out of the market in Bitcoin when it rallied to 69,000. And this whole pullback and the blow up of Celsius and Voyager puts Bitcoin in strong hands. And you had a lot of selling and stuff that took place that was because people had to liquidate and they had to raise money. And it was just brutal. And I don't think you're going to get an immediate snapback. I think there's going to be a lot of overhang. But I can't say that it wasn't healthy for the market. Sucks, but I think it was healthy. Jason, your thoughts on healthy, whether it was or not?
I just think there's a lot less liquidity overall, Todd. And I just think people are pretty sick of the the government telling them what to do. And I think if they try to enable this draconian measure again and they fearmonger, and I was hoping you were going to talk about your personal.
Oh, I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm going to.
Watch what happens. It's going to be politicized. The Fed and the variant, it's going to be politicized. It's going to be interesting to see if the Democrats pivot because they're getting smoked right now in all the polls. It's going to be a big red midterm election. You're going to see Senate seats flip. You're going to see the House flip. You're going to see Republicans control Congress. And we'll see what happens if the Democrats decide to ease up on, those policies, those mandates in order to win an election. So that's what I think.
So, guys, I'm in Toronto, Canada, and what I'm about to tell you is real. Last night, I had to fly from New York after being in several meetings this week in New York City. And I got on a plane in New York, JFK, and I flew to Canada. Okay, we all got that right. That flight is about, let's call it to the border, about an hour and some change. And maybe it's a little less than 2 hours. We crossed Canadian airspace. Skyla, I haven't even told you this. This is not believable.
I heard.
Christy, my producer, I need you to mark this point in the tape because we're gonna play this because I almost got live when I heard this. Okay, and the person, I'm not going to tell you the airline I was flying on because I happen to love them, and I don't want to cause them any pain. They got on the PA and said, we are now crossing. This is not believable. We are now crossing Canadian airspace. Jason, what the hell? I mean, are you aware of the science that if I'm on a plane for an hour and a half, that when I cross Canadian airspace, COVID becomes available?
Yeah, I think the Canadian air it's more taxed, and then it weighs heavier. So then I think there's a greater chance for you to get COVID. So I think you should probably mask up, Todd. I mean, Trudeau wants you to mask up.
Dude, I'm not Jason. I'm not the right winger. Well, he's a libertarian, but I'm not that hardcore guy that Jason is in terms of the way he feels about certain topics. I'm not judging Jason at all. That's Jason's right to be and believe what he wants to believe. So this is coming from me, more of a neutral guy. They said we crossed Canadian airspace. I'm not making this up because my wife was flying from Vegas to Toronto. She landed in Detroit. When she went over the border, they told her the same thing, you got to put on a mask.
Oh, my God.
They said we had to put on a mask as we entered in Canadian airspace. If you didn't have one, they'd pass one out to us. So we had already been flying for an hour and a half, an hour and some change. And suddenly we had to worry about COVID because we entered Canada.
Did anyone refuse?
Canada, I'm not joking. It was mandatory. You had to put on the mask. There was no optionality.
What would they have done?
Yeah, well, they can't do anything.
Were they going to turn around?
I think that they would have not let me in the country. It was very clear.
Oh, they would have just sent you back once you got there. That's crazy.
Wow.
No.
That
it
doesn't
was
make any sense.
No, I could not. And I think the flight attendants could not even keep a straight face that they were telling me this. And I had to put on that mask. But, I just didn't complain because I thought to myself, if this wasn't really happening, I wouldn't believe it. But it happened. I was forced to put on a mask, not forced by like gunpoint or anything, just like, political pressure, whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
I put on the mask and I was protected now because I was in Canadian airspace.
You felt so safe.
I felt so much safer.
Yep.
We landed and I had to wear the mask all the way through. And when I got into the car, thanks, John picked me up and John said, hey, this is a Canadian car now. You should put your mask on.
Wow.
But I didn't, of course. And when I got to the hotel, they said, yeah, we don't care.
So, do you have to in stores and stuff like that there?
I don't know. I haven't walked around. I didn't wear a mask anywhere through. No one's wearing a mask walking around it during the race but it was kind of not believable. But Skyla, obviously, this is going to be a shortened show, guys. Lots going on here. It's the doldrums of summer, but we're at the Toronto Grand Prix. I think it's the Honda Toronto Grand Prix. This is episode 233 of Risk On. Sort of a mellow time. In terms of what's happening with the company, obviously, not a lot of comments on that. You guys can see what I'm doing in the Form 4s. Jason, I don't have a lot to talk about there. In terms of what I'm looking at in the marketplace, I'm kind of neutral. While I don't think Bitcoin's going to rip to 30,000, I do think some of the drama, the extension of being oversold is over short term. But boy, Jason, the prices are parabolic, man. The prices of real estate, the prices at the pump, although things are coming down a little bit, I just think it's because the Fed has been full throttle. Jason, you've been seeing them talk about a full 100 basis points.
Yep.
Next month. What are you thinking?
That'll be a big smash on the market. Yeah, this is far from over. They can't get out from underneath inflation. I think it'll last to the presidential election or further, in my opinion. The only other thing that could happen is stagflation, but there seems to be good job growth, modest job growth, and they say a lot of availability for jobs. So that part probably won't happen. But I do think that recently, you know what happened with some of the Fed presidents? They acquitted them of insider trading. That was quite interesting. Well, I wanted to talk about that for a minute, but we're running out of time. But I just think there's going to be a lot of sideways action for a couple of years. And I just don't see any kind of forgiveness here in the market, any kind of relief in the overall cost of living for middle-class America or for most Americans altogether. Hey, Todd, I want a question for you. If you were to fly private to Canada, would your private flight attendant ask you to put on your mask?
Got no idea, man. Smart
Probably
of you,
at least when you got to the airport.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Probably. Hey, Skyla, what do you got for us today?
How do you keep how do basketball courts stay cool?
How do basketball courts stay cool?
They're filled with fans.
You really have got the dad joke down thing.
I know. It was actually funny because this morning I was like, I was sitting with Roland and I was like, oh, I need a joke. And then he happened to just scroll upon that joke on Twitter as soon as I said something. And I was like, all right, have to say that one on the show.
All right, guys, lots of things going on in the marketplace. Really, it's inflation, rates of doubling in terms of mortgage rates. I think you're really going to see a slowdown in the housing market. Kind of nowhere to go, though, man. Not as many houses produced. Demand still high.
Big corrections on like Lennar, Toll Brothers. A lot of the big home builders are offering big incentives now, a lot of price reductions. So you're starting to see that. In Las Vegas, 29% of the new contracts for new construction were opted out of. They were canceled for one reason or the other. Either they didn't qualify at the new rate with their debt-to-income ratio, or they saw the writing on the wall and realized that they didn't want that big cost of money for that. They were getting basically hit over the head twice. The rates went way up, and the cost per square foot has been going way up. So it was like a double knockout. So 29% of the new home construction contracts were canceled in Las Vegas for June.
May not seem like a big deal, but let me run something by you on the inflation side. Disney announced the raising of the cost for ESPN today for their subscription service from $6.99 to $9.99. Isn't that 50%?
Close, yeah.
Right. They didn't go from $6.99 to $7. They went from $6.99 to $9.99.
Yep.
And that's per month. So you're talking about a
30%.
30.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah, it's a massive increase, numerator denominator increase on that service. And also, Jason, one thing we have not spoke about before we leave, which I'm pretty mesmerized about, is, Jason, where's the euro versus the dollar right now?
It was par when I last looked at it, which is quite interesting. You know, the DXY continues to shine. You can trade DXY exposure through ticker symbol UUP. That's been the one win throughout this entire ordeal. UUP, if you look at that chart. Yeah, I think that's going to continue to happen. I think it's possible that DXY goes to 120 or more. Just my thought. UUP, here's the chart. Let's take a look at my screen, Nick. Yeah, look at that daily. So, yeah, you're a big winner if you traded UUP starting back in January, February.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at the cost structure, the sure cycle over the next 20 years or so, about what you're going to need in terms of infrastructure in the United States. And if it were me personally, I'd be looking at stocks that Jason talks about that are providing things like copper and other commodities that are going to be needed over the next 20, 30 years. And on these pullbacks, I'd be looking at things that are infrastructure related. And that's sort of where I'm at, is where's the infrastructure? Where are the things that are going to need to be for the future? By the way, for those shareholders who've been asking me, the Singing Machine Company conference call today, which I thought was great. They came out with a 10K. Take a look at the 10K. If you listen to the conference call today, and this is what's great about being a public company, is they talked about a lot of initiatives they're working on publicly, like in-car karaoke, building into the systems for car plays and things like that. All the things they're doing. This is their words, not mine. I'm not one of the board of directors, although we are the largest shareholder. They talked about TVs like Samsung and others building in their software for karaoke machines, what they're doing with cars, what they're doing with Walmart, the rollout of the 4,000 stores. So very happy with our investment in the Singing Machine. Obviously up a lot in that investment, and now they are consolidated. They reported 47.5 million in sales. Thank you very much. That will be consolidated into BitNow's sales, which is what's been reported in our 13D. All public knowledge stuff. This isn't tips, guys. I'm not telling you anything you couldn't find out in the filings and on the call today. We are a 59% owner of that. Now, they report 52%. I think some of their warrants were exercised. But effectively, we do control the company at this point, and they will be consolidated in our sales going forward. Jason, any thoughts? Did you have a chance to listen to the conference call? I don't think you did you?
No, not yet. I didn't. I just looked at the 10K. Yeah, I mean, there's not much value right now yet. I'm just a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines, the war chest. Obviously, gold and silver. Silver's 93 to 1. I keep my eye on that. A lot of the miners, we'll be keeping an eye, not crypto miners, but precious metals miners. Keep an eye on those.
I want, before I leave everyone, to tell you, one of the things that's the most important thing to me looking forward is what do the next 20 years look like in terms of infrastructure replacement. And you have a country that's going to need roads and bridges and steel and buildings to be upgraded. You have a lot of demand for infrastructure over the next 20 years. This is the kind of way I'm thinking about what's risk on for me. What's risk on is that you don't have anything in the infrastructure. That's something we're looking at big time. We continue to look at how well we are efficient in terms of what we're doing in Bitcoin mining. Special thanks to Jason for that as he continues to deliver on his word to get those miners into Michigan. So that's working out well. We're very comfortable where we are. I don't know where you guys are, but it's a Friday. It is the 15th of July. This is episode 233. We thank you for tuning in. Special thanks to Jason and Skyla. Skyla, thanks for the week in New York. You're an excellent assistant. Did a great job for me. We got a lot done when we were here in New York. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Jay Money, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday and spending the week with you, and then we're off to Iowa, buddy.
That's going to be fun.
Iowa's going to be crazy. I'm so excited for Iowa.
Yep, Florida, yeah.
We got my wife's birthday, the 24th. That'll be fun. Christy, our producer, thank you so much. You got some new tools there where you're able to talk to me where no one else can hear you. That's great. Nick and Brett, everybody, hope your eyes are well. Everybody, take care. Risk on, everybody. Be well. Be safe. Go Bitcoin. We'll see you guys on Monday. Take care.
Risk on.